Hi everyone, Andrew here again. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. I'm out and about for my evening walk around Lao Cai here in Vietnam. It's coming towards the end of the day and night time will soon be here, so it'll be interesting to test out my DJI Osmo Pocket 2 in the light as it changes from daytime towards night time. I'm testing out a few settings again as I've been doing the last few days. I'm actually recording in 2.7K, 60 frames per second, and I'm using the automatic or the auto settings and exposure, etc., because there's going to be a lot of changes to the lighting as I'm walking around just now. And it seems to be coming across quite well on the camera. I've also changed something slightly with my microphone. You might see somewhere here I have a lavalier mic. I've actually got it plugged into the wireless mic that comes with the DJI Pocket. I thought I'll just try out the differences. What does it sound like? Is it better than the pure wireless mic? It's still sending a wireless signal, but the microphone is different at this end, the lavalier, plugged into the wireless device and then obviously transmitting to the DJI itself. So yeah, be interested to see what that comes across as, how that sounds when I look back at it later on. My little testing inside, it seemed to be better quality, but we'll see with all the outside noises and the cars going around. I've not got a dead cat wind protector on this one. It's got just a standard cover on it that will, I suppose, protect a little bit from some of the background noises, which I want to have. I do want to have background noises outside while I'm doing a vlog style video, but I just be interested to see if it's any different at all. But interested in the 2.7K and how I look back on some of my older videos I did when I first started playing around with the DJI, and I actually had it set on that without realizing it. I thought they were 4K and they weren't. So just be interested to see what that looks like. It might be a happy medium between having it set at 1080 and also the 4K, just in terms of file size. I don't think the quality is going to be really any different. Like I say, most people are watching in 1080 anyway. Just flip the camera around. There we go. So just having a slightly different walk today, just going in a slightly different direction. I'll still end up in the centre of Lao Cai, but I'm walking down a street not far away from the hotel. You can see it's that rush hour time now. It's what time is it? Let's have a little look. Just trying to work out what time it is. 5:37. Yeah, it should be dark between now and 6 o'clock. I'm not sure the exact time, but interesting to see as it goes dark how that affects the quality of the picture. I know it works very well in the night time because I have done many videos with it during the night time, but interesting how it adapts to the lowering of light. Obviously during the daytime, as we've seen in the last few videos, very bright skies. It's been very difficult to get the background exposed correctly whilst doing the vlog side of things, but that's fine. These cameras are designed for vlogging, i.e. having somebody's face in the picture, and they expose perfectly well for that. So in terms of its task and what it's actually being used for, it's the perfect camera for the job. I've stopped messing around too much with editing of the videos as well. I mean, I added some colour in the other day with the Cine-like profile, and I pretty much found that what I managed to achieve playing around with the colours in the Cine-like setting was the same that you get automatically from the colour setting from the standard profile in the camera, which is great because that means I'm happy with that, and I might as well let it do it itself. And it's pretty realistic as well, and if I find it's a little bit too dull or a little bit too bright, I can mess around with saturation afterwards anyway and still make some slight adjustments. The one thing I've not had to do, which has been great, is actually mess with any of the audio. In the past, some of my videos I've done on the iPhone and even my Sony camera, I quite often had to mess with the audio afterwards and do some changes. The audio straight out of this DJI through its wireless mic has been fantastic, and although I'm not planning on changing completely to have a lav mic plugged in, I just wanted to see what the differences were, to see if it was clearer or worse or whichever way it was. but I'm very impressed generally with the out of mic, let's say, settings from the wireless. There's one of the wind marts over there. Quite often pop in there to get some groceries. It's funny, a few years ago that used to be called Vinmart with a V. They sold the business. I think Vin Company sold the business, or the supermarket part of their retail part of their business, and it was relaunched with exactly the same logo and colours, but the V had been turned into a W and Winmart, which I think was quite clever by the new owners to maintain the presence, the same standard. I'm sure they had to have some sort of agreement with Vin when they purchased the retail unit that they would be allowed to keep it in that similar way, and I don't see why they would have said no, because they actually pulled out of the retail segment. But that's interesting, yeah. There we go. But, yeah, it's still very cold at the moment. This afternoon I went out for a short walk just to get some breakfast, and it was really cold. It felt, it just felt bitter in the air. There was a little bit of a breeze and it was cold, and you could really feel it, and it seems to be a little bit warmer this evening than it was this afternoon, which is nice. Just going to switch back round again. I don't know why I did that. There's a beautiful house up here. I think it's got a restaurant underneath it of some sort, or at least a business, but you can see a beautiful house with a radio mast on the top of it. See there, it's nice, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, some amazing buildings as you walk around these towns, different to the sort of buildings you might see back in Europe and in England in particular. But it's good to showcase some of these in these videos, so people do get to see what I get to see, because walking around talking to the camera is all well and good, but I think a lot of people want to see what I'm getting to see. Let's give that a point in question. This beautiful store here, selling various different things. Beautiful. I'm not going to go into the stores, that's not the right thing to do, but I just thought I'd show you. I'm going to leave the camera this way around. I think it's good for you guys to see everything as I'm walking. Again, this is a slightly different way into the centre of Lao Cai that I've been used to going. I have been this way before, but it's just a straight road that runs down into the centre. Very typical styles of Vietnamese buildings. You'll see in some cases very thin buildings but tall, 3/4 floors. Quite often the lower floor is used as a business or a garage or a storage area, and the upper floors are the living areas. And it's very typical and traditional. Even with my own limited time in Vietnam, I have lived in Hanoi for 4 years. And up here in Lao Cai, I've only been here for 2 months, I think it is now. Came here in December. It's amazing how time just flies so quick, doesn't it? You know, 2 months. I was going to say not that long ago that January feels like such a long month. And then suddenly, before you know it, February arrives, and February is now gone. We're well and truly into the start of March, you know. I suppose it's a shorter month anyway, but that shouldn't make it feel shorter. I think it's just the changes in weathers and the changing of everything, you know, the year becoming established, etc., and all the sort of partying and the end of year celebrations that you have during December, and then into February, which was the lunar year, New Year. It starts, they finish, and everything starts to settle back down again. So you see lots of bikes here. You see a lot of different styles of bikes, obviously traditional sort of petrol engine bikes, but also like this one that's just going past, e-bikes, electric bikes where they plug in the battery. I believe with the e-bikes you don't need a driving license. I'm assuming that's up to a certain power, because you can imagine some of the more powerful e-bikes that won't be the case, but it's enabled youngsters to be able to ride them, and I'm not sure that's a good thing with them not having an actual driving license, but that's the way it is, and it seems to be the way in many countries around the world. But it also makes it very handy. They can plug plug the bike in at the downstairs area when they where they park their bike, or they can actually disconnect the battery and take it home with them and plug it in upstairs or downstairs, or however you live in. It makes travelling very good. You know, I said in a couple of videos as well that Lao Cai in particular has a lot more cars than Hanoi, or feels like there are. I'm sure as a pure number it's not, but in terms of seeing, you know, Hanoi there's a lot more bikes around. It's almost like it's a constant flow of bikes, whereas here it's I suppose it's a good mix of the two, so you feel like there's more cars. Wow, that's a fantastic Mitsubishi. Not sure what exactly that one is. It's been made to look very nice. Let's have a look what style it is. Triton. Not come across that one before. Looks nice. See quite a few of them up here, like this Ranger up on the right. Quite a lot of the 4x4 style cars. I think the nature of Lao Cai being 4 or so hours away from Hanoi, and if you go up to Sapa, the mountainous areas, then it's probably more useful having that style of car. It's just funny, interesting place. I've got to do a turn to the right at some point up here, and then I'm back onto the same road that I always walk on through the centre. Like I say, a lot of the roads here are just parallel to each other, and they all go generally in the same direction. It's very hard to get actually lost. You always end up in an area that's similar. And even on those first few days of me being here and getting out and about walking, found it very easy to get to and from the hotel I was staying at, which was maybe a 30-minute walk from the centre of Lao Cai, whereas now it's only a 15-minute walk. So there's more opportunity to get lost back then, and I didn't. I just found my way around very quickly. Love these streets with the trees running down them. It's lovely that they keep that. It'd be very easy to remove the trees, wouldn't it, and just have concrete and houses everywhere, and maintaining the trees and making the place still look nice is important. I really like it. Being a golfer and obviously a player of golf, but also someone in the industry, it's seeing greenery and nature around is important to me. You know, there's nothing better than being around grass and trees, and even in a city where it's not entirely possible to have that, it's nice to see green areas, and obviously little parks and areas that are maintained with the greenness. It's good, and it's the same over here as it is many places around the world. Let people have a little taste of nature, and we're so close to the mountains here, and I suppose you could end up spending your whole life down in the city and the towns and not get up to the mountains, which would be a shame. I certainly enjoyed my trip up there a couple of weeks ago, although the weather was difficult with the fog. But it was certainly a nice place to go to. Across the road here. Again, there's lots of these shops playing music outside. It's interesting. It doesn't really pull me into the shop, but maybe having the loud music outside of the shop's better than having the loud music inside the shop, which can be an off-put. I always find it strange when you go into some big branded stores and they appear to have the music too loud, and you think, are they not realising this? Am I just getting old? But it's off-putting. You know, it's very important if you've got a retail store to have the right sort of music, depending on the style of store, I suppose, and your target market. But if it's for the younger generation, then louder sort of modern music's fine. If it's more for the older generation, then the more sort of relaxing jazz/classical works well. And music creates a good vibe, and that brings me on to some NLP stuff this evening, talking about how, you know, the way you feel affects your results and your actions within life, and playing music that brings about a certain feeling is important. And you know, I walk around listening to a lot of podcasts, and they give me inspiration and motivation. Music can do the same thing, and you know, if you're wanting to feel energized, you should put on music that's got energy. If you want to feel relaxed, put music on that's relaxing. I mean, it all sounds very obvious, but I don't think a lot of people make the most of that, you know. Winding down, going to bed, it's good to put on some relaxing music. When you're trying to wake up in the morning and get going, put some more energetic music on. Again, just speaking it out now, it sounds so obvious, but how many of us actually proactively recognize that? You know, if you're driving into work and you've got a long journey, making sure you've got, again, the right type of music on. I mean, so many people will put the news on and listen to all the bad things that are going on in the world, and by the time they get to work, they're not feeling great, and they don't realize it's because of that flow of information that's on a negative level, and they should be listening to something motivational, positive, or however they want to really feel. And it's so easy to do, isn't it? You know, podcasts can do that as well. Music can do that. You know, if you like reading but you don't have the time to read, then audiobooks are very good. I've quite recently started listening to some audiobooks again that I've actually read, but it's interesting when you listen to it, it brings about slightly different, I suppose, different thoughts or pictures in your mind for the same story. Coming towards the centre, so I'm going to leave you all to it with that thought. You know, music and sounds can alter the way you feel, and obviously depending on how you feel will affect your actions, and your actions directly affect your results in life. So 3 mottos for March, as they are every month: get up, get out and get it done. Do something today to improve your tomorrows, and what can be measured can be improved. I'll see you all again soon for another awesome update. Stay safe, take care.